Can we talk about how believing in religion just completely destroys your brain?
Oh, goose. Are you saying that you have 0 friends that are believers because you really just insulted them?
Okay, so we got something today. And is that Dinks the puppet? Ah, sorry, pal. I didn't recognize you until you immediately put your stupid on full display. You just have one of those faces, I guess. So, for starters, our atheist friend here is doing the lol religion means you am dumb thing. Something that I get accused of doing, which is not fair. I think people start dumb and then they go to religion, lol. But seriously, of course the religious aren't dumb. It's just the apologists who are idiots. Especially, it seems, the ones who love to fist stuffed toys. And, you know, I have religious friends and I insult them all the time for all sorts of shit, and they do the same to me. It's called being British, and it's why we are the best at unique insults, you string-haired spunk bubble.
My friend, if you can't make friends with people who disagree with you, what does that say about you?
I don't know, but you know what assuming he can't says about you? That you're a presumptive fuckwit. Also, this doesn't rebuke what he said. He said that religion destroys your brain, which you translated into Christianity, which makes it way funnier on accident. But instead of going, no it doesn't, your immediate response is to say, well, you don't have any friends. Also, I 100% do not believe that any atheist can tolerate 1 second hanging out with you without immediately calling you an idiot. Or any Christians can hang out with you without immediately calling you idiot. Or any person, you get my point. Well, you would get my point if you weren't such an idiot.
In fact, studies show that people who are religious, not specifically Christian, just religious in general, are happier and more fulfilled in life than atheists.
Aside from the fact that that is technically completely irrelevant to his point, if you want to make it relevant, there's one of those old stories where a genie grants your wish in a way that is what you asked, but not what you wanted. Because if you ask them to make you happy, it'll lobotomize you. Happiness and intelligence, aka the thing that he means when saying that your brain am the destroyed, are often inversely correlated. That is to say, the more intelligent you are, the less likely you are to be happy. So by your proposed metrics, the less likely you are to be religious. Basically, way to prove his point, dumbass.
As usual, I brought receipts. What about you? What do you got?
I expect nothing less than for you to completely dunk on your own position by accident. So hard that, in a sense, you brought even more proof that your brain has been destroyed by something, with how you completely failed to refute fucking anything. Good job, Dingus the puppet.
You grew up believing that there's some invisible man watching you, judging your every thought.
You can't even give a serious, straight argument, can you? Obviously, he's not a man.
Holy fucking shit, are you kidding me? Yes, obviously he's not a man. We know that he's not a man. He's not fucking real. For starters, anyway. But obviously, this isn't supposed to be, we think you think there's a literal guy in the clouds. It's facetious. A word that means something else that you wouldn't understand because, you know, your brain has exploded. But anyway, why does he have to give a serious or straight argument? He's taking the piss out of you. You, the puppet man, assuming anyone has to take your position seriously, is, again, very funny.
He's God, an omnipotent being who's not flesh and blood like us. Yes, Jesus became a man, but God the Father and the Holy Spirit have always been spirits and still will always remain spirits. So
it would be stupid if it was a guy watching you from the clouds. But if there's a ghost watching you from the same clouds, that's completely expected and normal. Because, of course, you are again missing the fucking point. It's not that there's a literal person watching you all the time, but the idea that anything is paying constant attention to you. Amazing how you would miss that very obvious point.
There's a constant to their nature that you are intentionally degrading to make your point.
No, I'm pretty sure he's intentionally degrading it because it's funny to do that. Mostly because it is. But the point he's making stands regardless of whether he called it a man in the sky, a ghost in the sky, or a piece of fucking toast in the sky. The point is the watching, not the watcher. The fact that you felt the need to jump into your defense of the super cool fake guy as if that refuted anything proves that you either don't understand the point or are completely unwilling to actually refute it. Either way, making his point far stronger than he could by saying it quote-unquote better.
I would love to see you give an argument without insults.
Challenge accepted, and immediately dismissed because you're a moron. The entire premise is that your brain is getting fucking melted. But he's supposed to argue that without it being a tad insulted? Give me a fucking break. And it's not like insult or no that changes the argument. You're already addressing the argument, poorly mind. But the fact that you would even be here means that whether or not you're offended, it reached its target. So why the fuck would he stop?
Of course your anxiety is going to be insane. You were raised believing that you were under surveillance 24/7.
Newsflash, we are under surveillance 24/7.
You keep doing that and it's so bizarre. You just keep conceding every point and then bringing up things that are irrelevant as if it's some kind of refutation. I mean, for starters, 24/7 surveillance? Now, sure, if you fill your house with every gadget under the sun, that could well be true. But there are plenty of people who don't do that and who have a privacy-first lifestyle. You can get dumb phones and you can get unconnected devices. Hell, even use operating systems with major user control over what does and doesn't get sent anywhere, and you could live in the woods / never ever go outside, and you would essentially fall off the goddamn grid. That reflected to the God thing, where there would be not even the remotest chance of opting out. I mean, even in the high surveillance household, you can leave your phone out of the bathroom, but God's going to be right there watching you shitting and masturbating. And you might ask, what, is it me masturbating or is it God? To which I answer, yes.
There's cameras everywhere, and if you do anything wrong, they're likely going to catch you. I don't have any anxiety about that because I'm not doing anything wrong.
Then you're a fucking dumbass. I mean, more so than we already knew you were, because let's ignore the incredibly important consideration that just because you're not doing something illegal now doesn't mean that in some number of years the exact same activities could be criminalized. The outright necessity of at least some level of privacy is an extremely important part of the human experience. Just because you aren't doing anything wrong doesn't mean that you want people watching you do it. Would you be happy for someone to set up a camcorder in your bedroom, watching you sleep and snore and fart the night away? Or, God literally forbid, catch you having freaky puppet sex with whatever the hell kind of person would want to smash your scrawny ass? And that's not a judgment on people who fuck puppets. Fill your boots, I don't care. Just anyone who would fuck this puppet. Gross.
Just as I understand with God, all my sins are forgiven. It's not about my good behavior that saves me.
Holy fuck, you're one of those. The actual moral black hole of, who gives a fuck what I do? I can just ask God for forgiveness and everything's peachy keen. I knew they existed, but I just didn't expect any of you morons to come right out and say it. If you think that your God is in any way just, then the very notion of forgiveness no matter what is anathema to justice. It means that the worst of the worst, most vile pieces of shit will always get away with it, so long as they say the correct incantation. But the kindest, most selfless individual who makes the world 1,000 times better just by their very existence in the universe will be getting punished forever simply for not believing something for which they likely had no goddamn evidence, which ultimately gives no reason for anyone to bother being a good person and actively encourages the worst kinds of behavior. And frankly, it makes your claim of having nothing to worry about because you haven't done anything wrong extremely suspect.
And you've had enough of these rebuttal videos that you know that too, but it doesn't help your argument, so you pretend we've never said that.
In my experience, it's the Christians who pretend that there's no Christian who thinks that that is a position that any Christian holds because it's so fucking stupid. But of course, there are in fact dozens, if not hundreds, of conflicting positions held by Christ Bobs of various types. But you, like basically all other Christ derps, seem to genuinely think that yours is the only version that should be taken into consideration when arguing against any form of the religion, and that it is somehow my fault that the other versions exist. That is not how that works.
You start freaking out over completely normal feelings.
I'm not freaking out. Nope. Things like anger and lust, yes, are completely normal feelings. But there are times when they need to be used and times when we should have self-control.
That is clearly not what he's saying at all, you disingenuous little shitwit. It's not about self-control, it's about guilt. The feeling that doing perfectly normal things like jacking off or eating a panda and feeling that you shouldn't be doing it because some fucking cosmic asshole will be really, really upset with you if you do, combined with the fact that automatic forgiveness is not actually a guarantee with all forms of the religion. Or even the fact that even if it was, there is a psychological toll on a person's mind when they constantly feel that they have to ask for absolution for basic human functions. It's all extremely fucking bad for them. Again, you're either incredibly stupid for not understanding that, or you're pretending it isn't a problem to dodge accountability.
You start thinking curiosity is dangerous.
So, Goose, when you have kids, if you tell your kid not to touch fire, then you're going to be happy that they do?
I swear you are just doing this on purpose. That is a completely worthless analogy. Sticking your hand down your pants for some fun time with Mr. or Mrs. Happy is not even the same fucking ballpark of ramming your hand into a pile of burning coals. Not only does it not give one any sort of sensation that one might want to experience more than once, hence the need for endless forgiveness for the other one, it leaves a scar, a physical reminder that that thing is bad. The only way Jack and the Kraken can harm anyone doing it to a nominal degree is if they were taught that great vengeance and furious anger will be laid down upon them for doing so. Without that, it's just a fun thing to do when you're bored or hungry or driving really, really fast. It's fine.
A 2-year-old does not understand burn.
Well, that must mean you're a fucking toddler, because neither do you, obviously. Otherwise, you would stop putting out videos where you leave yourself open to and burn yourself so consistently. Then I am surprised you aren't just a smouldering hunk of burning fluff and fabric surrounded by the charred remains of the room you used to be standing in.
You completely stop trusting your instincts because you're told that they're wrong.
Well, think of it like a computer program. If there's a virus, I'm not going to trust the computer program to do things accurately, and it's the same thing with our instincts.
Well, aside from the fact that humans aren't fucking computers, instincts aren't viruses, and what the hell would the virus scanner even be? Because if it's another person, what makes you think they aren't also suffering from the same or a completely different virus that is affecting how they see things? And if it's the book, how do you know you're reading it properly if you can't trust yourself because you've got a virus? And so on forever. So I don't even know how that analog is supposed to function. And also, that's not how fucking computer viruses work. Certainly not in this day and age. In fact, most of the time, they want your computer to work exactly how you want/expect it to. At least outwardly, because it's doing extra stuff that you might not want it to, either by stealing your information or, more likely, using a portion of your hardware to mine crypto or whatever. Ironically, the only thing that I can think of that compares to that kind of shit is the religion that tells you everything is fine as long as you do what we say, while they constantly siphon off your time, money, and emotional capital.
Sometimes they work right, other times they're just self-serving.
Unlike the vast majority of religions, where their modus operandi is do anything to make sure people believe we are right and everything else is wrong, but also make sure people are psychologically reliant on us by making them think a natural thing is bad and then selling the cure for that harm that we essentially inflicted on them because we're the good guys somehow.
And absolutely none of it comes from reality.
Okay, so you reject self-control. Got it.
Not even close to what he said, or even implied, you fucking asshole. Why don't you exercise some self-control and not strawman everything anyone ever says? And the thing is, I don't even think the guy is doing that great a job. This isn't going to be a particularly convincing as a forward-facing argument, as opposed to a refutation of some such nonsense. But your attempts to refute him are so poor that you make him sound like fucking Socrates by comparison.
It's just things that were drilled into your brain before you had any time to think about it for yourself.
So you assume that all Christians were born into Christian families? Oh my goodness, buddy, I've got some stories for you.
Oh, god damn it, you are so exhausting. It's a generalization, and in this case, it's probably pretty fucking spot on. But sure, you're right. Some people come to faith after they've grown up. Does that change the fact that most people are born into it? No. So no. And does what you said refute the fact that they more than likely internalized this shit before developing critical faculties? No. Like everything you have said so far, it is just another pathetic dodge.
What religion does is it makes you feel guilty for being human.
Most, yes, and some forms of quote-unquote Christianity may do that, but biblical following of Christ? No.
Oh, so you have heard of other true Scotsmen. But the thing is, They all think they are just as biblical as you are, buddy. And they, on this point, are absolutely right to do so. Humans are fallen. They are the spawn of the first sinners. They're progeny who invented fucking murder. Even if your version of Christ donk ignores those aspects, well then, good for you. I'm sure you feel fantastic about how you don't have to do shit and you'll automatically get rewarded. But here's the thing about the easy path. Unchallenged people are often deeply unhappy people. So chances are, if everything you have said is at least true to you, there is a good chance that you aren't half as fulfilled as you would be having a different perspective on life. It's the classic, if atheism is true, Christians are gonna be fine and dandy mentality. When, no, actually, you wasted your life waiting for a second one that will never come. That is a horrifying concept.
In fact, we're told Romans 8:1, there is now no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus. So where's the guilt you're talking about?
Do you actually think that words in a book that explicitly tells people they are fucking shit all the time, somehow trumps human psychology? I genuinely can't tell if you are truly as stupid as you look, or if you are actually one of the most manipulative motherfuckers on the face of the planet. Holy hell.
It trains you to obey instead of think.
An atheist tells you to feel instead of think.
Well, now you're obviously just lashing out because you're mad that you sound so fucking stupid and can't seem to make a single coherent argument against what is, again, not all that amazing points. I mean, they aren't terrible, but they aren't slam dunks either. And anyone paying attention and who has a brain and somehow believes in God, it can happen, I know, they would be able to offer up far more robust counters easily. But you're just no-youing the guy. When what exactly leads you to believe that atheists do what they do based on feelings alone? In my experience, atheists are atheists because they have come to a conclusion, thinking about what they believe, not because they just felt like God didn't real. In fact, the only feeling we tend to have consistently is the massive amount of annoyance having to deal with self-righteous moronic dickheads like you. And you said I couldn't make an argument without being nice. Bye!